Welcome back to study section 3 on HG 302. On the previous study section, we talked about the principles guiding the operation of a successful farm business. And some of these principles include planning and control, organizing, coordinating, and motivation. This study section will be devoted to discussing the special characteristics of agriculture that affect farm management. At the end of this study section, you should be able to explain the meaning of risk and uncertainty. Secondly, you should be able to discuss the types of risk that affect farm management. And thirdly, you should be able to explain how risk is being managed in agriculture. Let's take this learning outcome one after the other. Uncertainty. This is a situation where an action has got to a set of possible outcomes, the probability of which is completely unknown. For example, no one can assign probability to how many times he will fall sick within a year. So farmers normally calculate his labor requirements on the ground that his workers will be healthy throughout the year and that each labor will supply at least 8 working hours per day. Similarly, no one can precise or predict when he's going to die. So farm manager may project his activity for the whole year and he may not reach the end of the year before he dies. Any situation where one cannot predict what can happen is normally regarded as uncertain situation. While risk, on the other hand, is a situation where each action leads to one of a set of possible outcomes, each outcome occurring with a known probability. Most economic activities assume that the future can be predicted with some accuracy. This is not usually true, most especially for agricultural production. In fact, business is faced with risks and uncertainties, which have some effect on management decisions. There are many features of agricultural production which make farm management operations very difficult, unlike industrial enterprises. This is due in most cases to the special characteristics of agricultural enterprises. And some of these characteristics include production uncertainty, price changes, government actions and policies, actions of other people. Production uncertainty. Farmers practice or operate in an environment which in most cases is beyond their control. Varying weather conditions, crop failure and animal diseases prevent timely execution of farm management. Production uncertainty can manifest itself in various ways. For instance, under rain-fed agriculture, the yield of crops will depend upon the amount of rainfall recorded at that period. So total crop failure can result if rain does not fall at all or if it does not fall at the right time. And on the other hand, excessive rainfall can cause erosion and leaching of plant nutrients. All these have serious implications on farm management decisions. Price changes. The input which the farmer uses and the output which he produces are both subjected to wide fluctuations in prices. Input prices really go down, but the prices of output can easily go down. Seasons and overproduction affect the prices of output, though price fluctuations occur in other enterprises. They are more difficult to deal with in farm planning. For instance, increase in wages cannot easily be absorbed in agriculture since farmers cannot easily increase its price to match the new increase in its costs. So there is contraction to a situation where the price of petrol increased by 50%. The industrial sector will increase the price of their products immediately to accommodate these additional costs. Government actions and policy. Various governments take actions, the effects of which are supposed to be felt in farming. Usually, the farmer may be unaware of what government action will be before a production season. There are policies like guaranteed minimum prices, land use decree, agricultural credit guarantee scheme, the abolition of commodity marketing boards, etc. All these policies are important and management decision must be taken within this framework. Actions of other people. Agriculture is practiced by a large proportion of Nigerians, and most of them operate on a small holdings. So this farm are scattered, and or five farmers may have 2 acres of farmland in the same area. So if a farmer control pests in his or her farm, if a farmer controls pests in his farm or control diseases in his poultry farm, while others do not, then such a farmer is wasting his time, energy, and money, as the pests or diseases from uncontrolled farms will spread back to his own farm that are being treated. Therefore, the actions of one farmer will therefore affect the farms of others. Health of farm workers. Another important factor that affects management of farm business is the health condition of farm workers. The efficiency of the farm workers is closely related to their state of health. At the beginning of planting season, farm manager will calculate the labor requirements for each month based on the condition that the farm workers will be healthy throughout the year. Death of the farm workers and diseases like guinea worm can take workers completely out of a farm. Sicknesses and death of farm workers can affect the achievement of labor objectives for the year. Other risks and uncertainties. The greatest problem facing farmers, whether new or old, are the problems of risk and uncertainties. Apart from the problem of production, uncertainty discussed earlier, there are others, for example, water shortage, power failure, change in technology, etc., which may complicate the farmer's decision process. So due to frequent vandalization of electrical cables in many parts of Nigeria, electricity supply is no longer reliable. Any farm business that depends on electricity supply may run into serious problem, as the generating set that was designed only to assist public power supply may eventually be the only source of power supply. This may have serious effects on the farm plan and management decisions. The following methods can be used to reduce the effect of risk and uncertainties in farming. 1. Flexibility. Flexibility means planning in such a way that to be able to shift interest when favorable conditions or unfavorable opportunities arises. It will not be advisable to have too rigid methods of production. Farmers normally operate in a dynamic environment, and information about improvements in production methods often become available to them. Some examples of flexibility in farm organization and production methods include the proportion of fixed to variable costs on a farm enterprise can influence the ease with which a farmer moves out of a particular enterprise. Diversification. Diversification here is defined as the involvement of farmer on more than one enterprise at the same time. The basis of using diversification as a strategy against risk is that the yields or prices of all choosing enterprises are not likely to be adversely affected at the same time. So the combination of more than one enterprise can reduce loss of annual incomes caused by damage to one another. So enterprise with the lowest correlation of net income can be combined. Contracts. One way of diverting risk to another is by the use of contracts. Under this strategy, a buyer assures a seller a fixed price in advance, and goods are delivered to the buyer at a future date. In this case, price uncertainty is transferred to the buyer. Apart from taking care of price fluctuations, it also assures the seller a market outlet. Farmers can make arrangements for crops and livestock to be produced and for the input to be used during a production season. If prices fall, the farmer will get the higher contracted prices for what he produces. If, however, prices increases, the farmer loses, but then that is the cost of the risk. The next one is insurance. Another way of transferring risk to others is through insurance. Insurance may be defined as the substitution of a certain small cost for the probability of a large but uncertain loss. Insurance may be used to meet risk, such as the death of the businessman, that is the life insurance, fire or accident, property insurance, or crop loss, crop insurance. Insurance is a cost. Another management of risk in agriculture is inventory management. A good farmer must be able to watch the movement of a price. If prices of his farm output are likely to rise, for instance, he should be able to stock his warehouse, and when prices are likely to fall, he should stock less. Similarly, the farm manager can watch out for the movement of prices for his farm inputs. Guaranteed minimum price. There are many programs put in place by government that are aimed at helping the farmers. One of such programs is buying the farmer's crop at an agreed minimum price. If the farmer cannot sell the crops at the current market price, for this to be effective, the minimum price must be enough to cover the costs of production of such crops or livestock and allow for more profits. This makes us to come to the end of this study section. I hope you've learned one or two things from the video. Kindly read more in your study material for more understanding and explanation. Join me for the next study section. Thank you for listening.